like I don't think you guys be able to help me out here on getting this part fulfilled the right way without getting you guys like raised out over some stuff because I've been through a lot. Okay. I'm just gonna start this one. How's it going? 750. Yeah. Um, okay. I get that. I get that. So if somebody just said, "Hey, how's it going?" People don't like how it's painting them here. Okay. But yeah, this guy gets me, or I should work with this. Look, I'm trying to help people. But there are some things that haven't happened, which is why people have the storylines in my end of the woods, and whether or not that means anything, they've shown me it could only mean as much weight as I give value to it. And if that doesn't have my weight in gold, it's valueless. Okay, my mom's old school like that, but she knows that deep down it ain't all true. And she just can't have the feeling that she did you wrong. And she's looking at how she did a mom. And like, this is probably a weird way to segue away from some of the people who are like in my life to like the people who are like that have helped my life, but also like at the expense of ruining my fatigue and my adrenaline receptors towards, the things in life that make me go. So if that's like something that, and unfortunately they did make it really dramatic like that. They took away like running from me at 25. So these people are freaking they're tossed. They're evil no matter what I can do, they just are. And like they know that their son is, but they feel like they've been cured now because they've done this finally. And they know that their son is doing something, but they can't figure it out because guess what? It's a company and it's been intellectual property for a long time and it's been taboo in the family. But I'm the first one to put on the boots for things and figure it out. And that's why people are getting disgruntled and disjarred because they don't know how far I've gone and how hard it is to get where I'm at. Because if it's anything they put me through, some of them put me through a lot for no good reason. And that's going to make them feel way different when they're going through whatever it is that I went through in less time. Because there's a good possibility they'll sell it back to you and there'll be a bunch of real, real big, I don't want to say it, but assholes. There'll be huge assholes about it. And there's a good chance that like point of purchase would be where it lies. And that was because you wanted plants to be illegal, even though they help you see ayahuasca in the woods. And these freaking parties that happened at Electric Forest got some things, and in Ohio especially too, even where the reason that train crashed, it's not like just a coincidence. Some of these events, the Hawaii catching fire, the submarine going down, the bridge collapsing, dude, I've been blessing things too on top of it. But whatever events that have been taking place that have created catastrophes, it could be kind of how no, and I again, I'm connected to plenty of like well-purposed like people. And I'd wager to say physics, meteorologist, again, all the nerds I'm friends with, they're all nerds. Of course they rule the world. And of course the next thing they're going to want to do is take out the easiest, popular, most attractive one. That's right going to be right here. So like I have a fun little superhero adventure life that like all these supervillain nerds came out to try and like scope me out for. But bro, it's like if that's the end of the day back there, then I came out with the winnings on at least the amount that I've been able to procure on my own. And so like if I've been able to like resource these things and stem them out from some of my own personal life, and that's good enough for the rest of the maintenance crew here on whatever resource it is that I'll be fed this afternoon. Like I'm getting sleepy. I'll have no sleep, but like I'm just like kind of thinking like the recess of this division here on like paranormal could be that little bit of divide that people aren't quite ready enough, but fascinated by at the same time, which so wholehearted single-handedly, I've been past the sky on some of these hallucinogens that they may or may not have given people like some sort of better receptors radio on, resourcing their whatever engages that third eye melatonin receptor right here in your frontal, because this is all inside your head, your body. But if you know your body that well, because you've been that high, then you can go and like kind of practice certain things differently than how other people's might, as especially as practitioners. And if practitioner work and paranormal work became a bigger fish to fry here for people than like music, but like everybody wants to be a part of like something that allows them to do what they love for the rest of their life, then of course my school gave me the rights to it 10 years ago before I like came home. So that could be a big part of the absent like ballots here and why the science comes off as an art school because I flunked out of art school. I don't have a degree from 7 years. Okay, so I had to do something, of course. So of course I'm paraconomy here, and I'm working on taking art and making it into an actual thing that you can actually like stress and navigate and immerse yourself in. So if I've been able to pick apart people's like algorithms and like enhance their AI basically based on the sourcing of my art, then it's basically been it's possibly that it's been appropriated by other ways and other things in the world that are now fishing for my next likeness in conjuncture and trajectory because they know that I got a signal locked on these bad boys 7:57 a.m. 5/13 2025 just like clockwork. They know that I got this thing going on here, so they're like, how did you get that when you didn't have it? And as I hey, truth be told, I was by myself for a few of those, and a lot, I mean, there you go. A lot of people trip by themselves these days, but probably not as much on certain in certain parties, because, like, obviously, everybody's kinda come to the idea that, like, if Canada's gonna, like, streamline some of this, of course, Michigan's gonna be one of the first, and then we do. We've legalized mushrooms here in certain places, and like that's going to be useful to spread. Obviously people love it, which is a huge reason why I moved back home is I learned how to do it. And I asked my parents for the land and the rights to do it, and they weren't comfortable doing it yet. They're still not comfortable. They want to start an Airbnb, but they don't know that how deep I'm in with the rest of the real world because, well, they just duped me again in that sense. And they're like, well, we can afford to do it, but they're realizing that like now they've push pulled this thing. It's going back and forth to give people a way around. And now their favorite thing is their least favorite thing in the hands of their enemy. So that's kind of if I'm the family enemy for I'm the Moose Girl enemy over here, pervert murderer, and now Christmas is called pervert murderer instead of Christmas for a moment while you guys figure out why I went to art school and I serve it back to you in the form of a company that does this instead. Then it gives people a little bit of hope and access to believe that anything's possible here. And that if you were able to make a career, a half-hearted career on access towards anything but music, because like you didn't care about anything else, and just that shows in your work and stride. Then you did Japan and like Hawaii exactly the way you probably should have, and that's compartmentalizing some of that like psyche, and somehow they saw the potential for it here in the States and in Michigan while Biden was still president, and they grabbed a hold of some of the good things that are going around here, and anybody who's starting rumors. Um, Because my mom's kind of cool, huh? My mom's kind of cool like that, and just it just took a good conversation with myself because poking around, she's old school, but 8 8 a.m. Yeah, they probably have this thing going on where like yeah they didn't know, um but yeah, there's Nordic energy and like Aurelian and Palladian and all sorts of Scopy aliens kind of things going on with like your enigmatics and like all sorts of like Atlantean things going on and Zorpy friggin' Eskimo stuff and got a hot pan in here, excuse me. Friggin' a whole load of like Egyptian stuff and Inuit things and dude, who knows? But like at any rate, something tells me there's some things that are bringing people together more than they're trying to pull them apart. I can't put my finger on it, but again, politics aside, some amassment happened during the decision making, and people made a grandiose gesture out towards revealing it, and it may or may not have been misread or read too appropriately. And it got into the caustic events here at Paraconomy Inc., which have unraveled some very demony behavior, um, potentially, which come in the access of this weird paranormal phenomenon that like if it's not a demon but they found a more finite way to increase like exposure to this thing and it just feels demony but it's actually like something else we're learning and still can't explain but like there's plenty of traces in history to pocket then we probably got it good in some sense because like everybody's got their own thing that they're going to be busy with over the next decade at least and that's kind of like one thing that I've noticed about the rulings on some of these um, briefings in Congress is that they keep on kind of exposing what they're willing to like talk about it's getting some things going. So like that's kind of why I wonder if people are like, I want to talk more about what the truth is. And I need time to I've already heard some things, and now I need time to feel like I can expose myself or anybody else to this thing. Um, because it's again debriefing. So that could be why there's this dream realm that people are accessing in this enigmatic technician, and like people are basically waking up to the accounts of their behavior prior enigmatic technician or like that commitment. So if people are like before they made a commitment are away and then nothing happened as they made that commitment and after they made that commitment that's just how they are then it makes sense why we kind of ended up in these places here is people weren't ready to talk about certain things and the behavioral disassociation. Let's face it, I'm a small town, and this place is not ready to unload why it's a beautiful place to live. And that comes with sharing, but also there's this next level to it. Where the hell did all of this weird stuff start surfacing off with millennials? And like Gen Xers. And how did Gen X unload like a whole load of weird like tribal seances and staples in culture that have somehow bent the bars for access to like humans to get a little more cozy with the fact that we are not alone on this planet. And it's somehow I mean, obviously, it gives people success there's so many different routes that people have been able to paint with a lot of fair be it, a lot of hippie culture, but like this surpasses that. And people have been able to have tried to repurpose the meaning of what kind of grunge systems or weird delays in broadcasting between the 70s to the 90s brought this some of this with it. And that's kind of the possible weird part to break into again here. If that's what QAnoners are like actually getting into on what again could possibly mean. Um, and that there's this like weird shifty thing. Sorry, I'm burning this thing going on. But like it's only shifty because there's like it's like the X Files. It's like some weird like backwards in time thing here. Enough said. Hold on, I'm gonna make an egg, guys. I hope you don't mind this discussion's fucking rolling and really brawly. Get bacon. Yeah, dude. Lions. So again, Lions beat the Boston Red Sox while they were doing mushrooms. Okay, 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 cool. So that's the. Yeah, fun. Yep. Yeah, fun. This is your it phase. My it phase. I'm destroyer. Yep. I believe it. Yep. I was it. Yeah. And then it changed. Yep. You just stomp it up. Uh-oh. Okay. Be careful with that. Yeah, there we go. So my knee just locked up 808. Hopefully that maybe they like somebody just sent a curse here to make sure I have a hard time running away. Interesting. You think that's this shit's real? Yeah, dude. I kind of wonder. And I think the government's like, but also, I'm cursed. So like, there's another part. This poltergeist here at this apartment complex can't be closed out. Quite frankly, but not quite as easily as like. But it's way different than what you guys think. And you guys set me up to make sure that I close out different buildings here, which is why you keep me in a fucking cage. It's weird being at this freaking weird restraint den by my freaking cousins and family and friends and stuff like that, just because it's the KKK Proud Boys getting their Hawaii. And so, like, that's all that they want. And so, like, that's all. That's all. So they do weirdly want me, but they also don't want me. They want me. It's weird. So like they I don't know how else to put this. But they have me on this conservative ship. And so like here's like the disclosure. I'm under intense witness protection because they think I could be a Jesus, like God sent miracle. baby from Japan or some Filipino cargo cult like prophecy. And during like World War II, they were finding that the Philippines had like a lot more going on. So like that's possibly what is we're pretending to unravel. Which why I mean, look at the wars set up to all the way through to Iran. And so like that's kind of a big possibility of what has been why Gretsch went to Taiwan last year, to go like smolder out. What the hell? Did you send us over here? Is that a dragon? Are you building Gundam mechs? Can we get some? So like that, I'm assuming this is a huge part in the human nature. My dad's always dreamed of these things. So I can't imagine we're far off from the future of here's a without a reasonable doubt, we have plenty of evidence that the future holds a lot of this new technological snappy stuff to get you guys back invested and interested here on the doobie on Doop Doop. This is what we back our daily taxpayers budgeting with. You guys bitch about where money goes. Okay, I'll show you a reason to biatch about. Excuse my language. It's pretty early for a stiff drink. But like, dude, this is what I'm thinking. Is like we got plenty to go around here at Paraconomy, which is why it's a corporation, but it's selective here. Um, and that's kind of one thing we gotta be careful now. I've got to be careful how I phrase things because if we have plenty and then I get caught up without plenty, then it means that I've lied and I can't go back. Which is why it plenty of, but I mean, look at the resources that I've procured over the past 2 decades. Plenty. So like Sam, my old roommate Sam has been like flashed across my Facebook along with some of his buddies who are out here. And they're white dudes. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But like that's where I wonder what next then, because they have a bunch of nerds. Nerds are really eccentric and picky and hard to live with, which is why they end up where they end up. And it's why they're kind of looking at keeping popular kids where they're at. But that's just the viciousness of youth, right? These are aging nerds. So I mean, look at it from that perspective too. Is like we have a bunch of video gamers who don't plan on stopping. They're just, and that's kind of why, on top of whatever it is for dudes, because like girls obviously have different business to be talking about right now with abortions and all sorts of different science, and especially with biology. It gives us like a whole thing here, and then well, we'll get to that, and then we have people who are testing science here. Okay. And that's like people, the transgender community here that's getting involved with DNA and RNA sampling and other things that are really important for science. Um, but maybe we don't have everything we would like to have for some of these conversations yet. And that's kind of a reason why you can't just put on your Marvel gloves and like have every bit of the conversation to yourself without actually going through it. And that's kind of where I come in, is I've gone through some hellish activity on this planet, knowing that like part of it is like human. But there's a good chance that I was born different on this planet because I get through this thing and I've experienced the devil out of me several different ways. So if I'm some sort of a weird Asian like Goku thing going on here, where like I can kind of like meld people's astral projections just a little bit more than like if my because my dad would have to be the a big deal and must have been, which is why no one really bothers him. But he's also like kind of he's it's kind of taken like alone. So like that's kind of one big reason why I look at where my dad's at, is like how he ended up being such a lone wolf and where I'm at and how I'm like now replaced by my dad's ambitions and stuff like that, predecessoring. some weird things from like my youth. So processing things from like back in high school, even like middle school and beyond. And maybe that could be like where we thought it was just like chemical imbalances and stuff like that. But the longer I go without anything except weed, right? It makes my parents like that's junkie behavior. But that it puts this thing in that like maybe what I'm doing isn't really far off from what how humans were meant to live is just like stoners a lot of the time is really like kind of lackadaisical, but like you get to do things, right? So like I've been showing off the legislation and legalization of marijuana since 2009. And like I had tried it, I waited to try it. A lot of my colleagues or anybody who was about it in high school, like it was kind of quiet. So like, but it wasn't extreme, but it was quiet enough. I knew it was loud enough because plenty of people were doing it by the time I was like 16. Okay, it was around, like just like any other, just any other era. But the thing is, uh, my hometown's really sheltered, so like it was kind of a quiet thing, and now it's a really loud thing in my hometown, just to differ out the magicianship. And a lot of the people who used to do it either do it just as much as I do, readily, and have maybe this part here too, where they like to party now heavier. And so like maybe they have a harder lock on how the like energy works. But like I think right. I think things got are like still on the docket for discovery and what's possible here. But people have this stretch, right? And they hesitate. They have the hesitation of daybreak when it takes time for people to actually give a fuck about learning about who you like are supposed to become, let alone who you were, who you became today. So like that could be that could be how like people have kind of taken the conversation out and like he knows this and he's taking care of this, so watch out, but this is happening, we could do this, and they sold me off, right? They sold me off to a different family. This family doesn't like, but they want the money back and they have to pay me. They don't like that. So that's how you end up with the KKK human trafficking you by your own family, and your Hawaiian family can't be bothered because they're out west. So that's why, it puts them on lockdown too, while I'm here sitting with like the legal problems that my family has also attempted to and endow me as generational trauma and bypassing. Because my mom wants to be like, you're rusty. You're like one of our good old Polak boys that they'll chase around. Here you go, boys. And like, but maybe not quite, but kind of. And that's kind of where it's too close to Christmas, if you know what that means here at Paraconomy Inc. It's possibly what's happening here is people are trying to run around me with a lot of fun things in the world, and like they get to. And so here's your like show off street is 8:18 a.m. I'm already like fizzing out in and out. I'm gonna be like sleeping all day. Probably, maybe not. I'll probably be really exhausted here while I like eat. What's up? So yeah, I don't know. 8:18. I got me a sandwich here. I think I'm gonna wind down on this one, but just check yourself. You guys stay safe. There's a lot going on out there today. So, be proud of the work you guys do. Um, it's Tuesday, we still got a whole rest of the week to go.